This meeting is being recorded.
Would you, if you joined us, would you be very kind of put mute on, please? So we can't hear the background noises. That would be great. Thank you very much. Okay, we're coming up to 4 o'clock. I'm just going to keep an eye on the people coming into the Zoom room. Welcome, everybody. I'm just to let you know that we are recording this so that it can be available to other parents. If you don't want to be on the screen, obviously just switch your video off. If you have any questions at any point, there'll be time at the end. This is not terribly long, but we're very happy to answer any questions at the end. And if your question is obviously of a more personal nature, you don't really want to share it on Zoom that's being recorded, please don't hesitate to get in touch with one of us as members of staff, Year 6 team, or myself at any point. We'll answer your question. Quite often you'll might have worries about, well, my child only eats sausages. What about the rest of the week? Well, we can sort all of those things out. A few more people in the room. Okay. So welcome, and I thank you. Thanks to so many of you who are have signed up for Blackland Farm. Obviously, we did go last year, which was great. We were the only school that Tretco had last summer who were residential. We were very proud of that, because obviously with the pandemic, a lot of schools went for just doing day visits, and we risk assessed it and felt that the fact we're outdoors 24 hours a day meant that we were significantly safer, and we were. There was no cases of COVID recorded during the camp, which was good. And I'm going to come on to that at the end. Okay, let me find my, there we go. Okay, so Blackland's Farm. The trip will take place straight after half term, May half term, the Jubilee half term, from the 6th to the 10th of June. You know that bit. Okay, I'm just going to reduce this slightly. So sorry to, that's better. So Blackland Farm is just outside of Sharpthorne, near Turner's Hill. Some of you might know it. Just not far from the nearest town is East Grinstead. And it's the Girl Guide Activity Centre that where Tretco are based in the summer. So Tretco, a company, actually I've been working with them since about 1998, when I used to take my very own Year 6 children when I was a class teacher. So I've known the owners of this for a long, long time. And as a school, we've been working with them for the 11 years. They're one of the largest independent outdoor activity companies in the UK. Why we like them so much, sorry, just let them in, is that all their instructors are not just instructors who've done a day's course on abseiling. They are young people who love abseiling and climbing and water sports, and are fully qualified with not just a sort of basic instructional level. They are absolutely fabulous with the children, and that's why we keep going back. I know one or two parents ask, well, the Scouts go there and it's a lot cheaper, and I do understand that. But we as teachers don't have the skills to run the trip and give your children the experience that they can have from Tretco. And every year it is a qualified, wonderful success. And last year, every year it gets better and better, I'll be honest. And that's due to the children and the staff, but it's just something that happens every year. So I'm looking forward to this year as being the best ever. And I think we can see the children really building up for it. So it's fantastic. Okay, oh, I'm going the wrong way, do excuse me. Okay. So a few kind of things you might be worried about to do with safeguarding. They are all fully trained, all the instructors and DBS checked fully and properly. And all the time, let me just move this again. The children are under the supervision of us, as well as there's always a school member of staff with them. So no group is unattended by any, so because we know the children really well. Sorry, I'm just moving this little screen down here. Okay. We set really clear boundaries, and so do the TrekCo team, and the children really do abide by them, because we're in a very large field with a sort of unit where there's a shed where the stuff is all kept, and then there's a shower block behind, and we're really clear about what the boundaries are, nighttime routines, and our expectations of the children. If the children wake up at night and need to go to the loo, they have to wake somebody up in their tent to go with them, and they get really good at that. And there's a night, one of the instructors will be on duty all night, and they will wake us up or get us if there's any issue, whatever the time of day or night. So we're there looking after them all the time. Okay. So as you would expect with camping, we are outdoors all the time. The children sleep in large ridge tents. If you've ever been part of the Guides or the Scouts or any other similar movement, you'll know these sort of Arctic blue ridge tents. We'll have between sort of 4 to 6. We try and keep it around 4 or 5 in each tent. Each day they have 3 activities. So one in the morning, one straight after lunch, and then one sort of about 4 o'clock before dinner, and then another evening activity. The evening activity tends to be things like wide games, you know, where we're running around trying to chase the children, or campfire. But during the day, lots of different activities I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. There will be some free time, but it's not very long. It's just enough for them to have a bit of a break. Too much free time can lead to chaos. So they have time to hang out a bit, play games, relax, sleep, usually ask when it's dinner time. But what they really, because we have our tents are all in a sort of circle, they play cricket in the middle. I think cricket was the game last year, all of them involved. It was lovely. So they kind of, with us, organised some of their own time as well. We come together for meal times in this very large marquee. So breakfast and dinner. Lunch is more of a picnic event, but we do sit in the marquee for that. The food is really good in that it's homemade and it's really good quality. So things like chicken casserole, spaghetti bolognese, roast. We had roast chicken last year. All sorts of really nice food and also vegetarian, vegan, all sorts of options. So if your child has any specific dietary requirements, please let us know. And it's a cooked breakfast, which gets the staff very excited. There's nothing like getting up for a cooked breakfast when you've got a day camping. Okay, another person coming in. Excuse me. Okay. So the activities are all designed to allow our children of 10, 11 years old to explore their limits and to gain new skills and confidence. And the reason we do this trip is exactly that, for children to have an opportunity to try things they might not otherwise have tried. But also, and particularly after the pandemic, I think it's really important that children get the opportunity to come away from home, gain a bit of independence, spend social time with their friends and build their confidence just before they're going to then go off to secondary school. And it really does. We take the children away and we bring back slightly different children in that they've kind of grown a bit. They've got a bit more confidence about them. They've also got a lot of mud attached to them, unfortunately, but they might be grubbier, but they're certainly more confident. Excuse me, I'm putting paper in. Okay. So let's say all activities are run by the TrekCo staff with a member of our team, the BPS team, with them. And the things like high ropes, I'll show you some pictures in a minute, canoeing, archery, abseiling, orienteering, problem solving, den building, problem solving again, because we like it so much, but lots of different activities for the children. Some of them are really quite challenging, and climbing, but of course, at every point, children are fully harnessed and on ropes, and nobody is forced to do anything. They are encouraged to do as much as they can. For some children, climbing up the ladder to get to the zip wire platform is as much as they can do. And we all appreciate that and understand that. And for other children, they'll be throwing themselves off that platform upside down sometimes because they find it so easy. But it's all about each child's limits and why we have a range of activities. So there are things like canoeing and archery and orienteering, so everybody can achieve success during the week. Okay. So, high ropes, just some of the activities. You won't necessarily see it there, but don't worry, every single child is on a harness and a rope. My favorites is the bottom right hand. It's called All Aboard, where 4 people stand on a platform that doesn't seem like it's big enough for 4 people to stand on. And then they all lean out and swing out and hang on the ropes and come back down to the ground. So lots of those activities. The children really love them. We also get very wet canoeing. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. You can see the large Canadian canoes. The canoeing takes place at Weirwood Reservoir, and I have to tell you that the weather last year was much better than that. We've often done it in this kind of rain and wet, but last year it was fabulous. So we think our tide has turned, and this year the weather's going to be good as well. But I'll talk about the canoeing in a minute in terms of kit. And some of the other activities, orienteering, abseiling, crate challenge. You have to stand on crates and fall off them. It's fabulous. Okay. So kit. Again, when we design this trip, it's not about having lots of expensive kit. And if any of you have any problems, A, sourcing, or B, in these times of extreme financial pressures, funding kit, please let us know with as much notice as possible, because A, we have lots of kit in school, and we have lots of families who have kit they don't need anymore, and we will make sure no child goes away to Blackland's farm without the right kit, even if we end up getting some ourselves. The most important things are waterproofs, if possible a jacket and trousers, because it can make all the difference. They need a hat, and a sun hat, and they need warm clothes for nighttime. Even though it's June, when you're out in a tent at night, it is chilly. So not just a thin set of pajamas, something like a cozy onesie is really good. And even in their bags, just having an extra jumper that they can put on at night, and some warm socks. Sun cream, please. The British weather, it'll do one or the other. It'll either rain all week or the sun will shine. So we need the sun cream, which your child needs to be able to put on themselves. We will, of course, have duty of care and make sure that they have got the sun cream on and help them if they need it. But at their age, they should be able to do it themselves. They need a plate, a bowl, a knife, a fork, and a drying up cloth. And one thing I've left off that list, but it's on the other list, a cup. They need something to drink from. They can also take their water bottle, because they'll be able to fill that up all the time. So they certainly need that. And they'll need a packed lunch for the first day. The rest of the time, lunch will be provided. They need a sleeping bag, a pillow, and a mat. A roll mat. It doesn't have to be massively thin, but they are sleeping on the ground. So if they've got a roll mat, that will make it a bit more comfortable. And old clothes, please, please don't buy them anything new for the week. It is everything they're doing is kind of shorts, trousers, jeans, t-shirts, sweatshirts. For the canoeing, we don't have specific kit. We just want them in really old stuff that doesn't matter. So, and we wouldn't advise waterproofs, because the waterproofs, when you actually are in the lake, the waterproofs won't make any difference. So old gear and a very old pair of trainers or shoes, or if they've got water shoes, the kind of sandals, those will be fine. They're sort of, the ones they have for the beach, but that will stay on their feet, then those are fine. But also, can you put in a bin liner so that all that wet gear and an extra towel can go in that bag, because it will be wet and it will be muddy, quite likely, rather than getting everything else wet. And they need some wellies and or waterproof shoes. Even if it doesn't rain, there's long grass and it's really wet in the morning. So I've known children with just a pair of trainers, and by breakfast they're soaked. So wellies are brilliant. And if you can't get any wellies, I've got a whole selection outside my office that can be then given out to people. So we'll make sure you've got them, but we need to know if you haven't got them. And the other thing we ask you to bring is cake. I know. And it's not just because we're greedy. I mean, we are a little bit, but we have lunch at about 1 and dinner's not till about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And there are 2 activities in the afternoon. So between the sort of straight after lunch activity and the late afternoon one, they need something to keep them going. And tradition is and has always been that parents provide a cake or biscuits, homemade or otherwise, and that we share that out every afternoon in between. They need a bit of a boost. So if you could please bring a cake. So we always enjoy the selection that we get, and we'd be very grateful if you could all do that. That'd be super. And again, if your child has specific, like gluten-free, if you want to provide one for your child, we will put that aside with their name on and make sure that they get that one every day. And also, if your child has a birthday while they are at Blackland Farm, if you want to provide a cake, we will celebrate. We make a big fuss. I think one year we had 3 children with birthdays, and they ended up with balloons on their tents and cakes and celebrations. So if you want to provide a birthday cake specific for your child, please do, and we will make sure that's put aside and saved for the day. A few other things. There is a tuck shop, absolute maximum of £5 in a named purse or wallet, and we collect those on the morning of the trip. They spend they're locked into my car during the trip, and then when they get them when they get to go to the tuck shop, which is usually sort of Thursday. It is only sweets and sort of Tretco key rings and things like that, so they certainly don't need any more than £5. Medication, which you would have detailed on the form, so we need that clearly labelled and handed in on the Monday morning when they arrive. And all their stuff needs to be in one bag or securely attached to one bag, not otherwise the children have to carry it up to the coach, helped by some of you parents, which is great, but it then all goes into the coach, gets dragged out the other end. If stuff is sort of flip-flops tied onto the side of a bag, they get lost. So it all needs to be, where possible, in one rucksack or bag, including the sleeping roll. And please, can you name everything? The last morning is usually Mrs. Bradley and I in a field with lost property, trying to find out who it's usually about 100 different things belong to. Please, could you put your name in everything that they have? That would be really helpful. We do take, I do tent inspections in the hope that we'll keep them tidy and organised. And it usually works, but also there'll always be 1 or 2 tents where they do manage to get themselves into a bit of a mess. So please, that would be really helpful for us. In case you're concerned, but COVID remains part of our lives, even though the restrictions are all finished. We are outside all the time, which reduces the risk hugely. If your child has symptoms that weekend before and isn't well, then you need to keep them back. We can organise them coming over when they're better, but they must not attend until if you either have a negative LFT, if you've got an LFT test, or have no symptoms. If we have an ill child, but as well with COVID symptoms, we will call you and ask you to collect them. We would do this very lightly, and I can't think there aren't many times we ever sent a child home, and we certainly didn't last year. The facilities we'll be using is just used by our schools, so we're not sharing with other schools, and we will all, as adults, be testing before we go. So the people who are going on their trip, there's myself at the moment, there's Year 6 team. There they are waving, with Mrs. Bradley will be there. We have a number of volunteers who've been coming for a few years, one of which is there's Craig from the family church. He's coming this year, we hope. Chris Evans, who's a governor. Ben, who's been a volunteer at St Mary's Church, has been coming for years, plus other additional LSAs who we haven't finalised the list yet, because we still haven't quite finalised numbers. So if you're here and you haven't yet signed up and you've got any questions, please do come and ask. If any of you are facing financial difficulties, please come and talk to me, either by email or telephone. I know these are really difficult times, and we try to keep the cost of this down. I mean, 5 years ago, I think I paid out £450 for my niece to go to France. So we try and keep it down to a cost that is reasonable, but I know for some it's still unaffordable, and no child will not go because you can't afford or can't pay. So please talk to me. We have lots of ways of supporting you and making sure that every child can go. So that's pretty much it. Year 6 team, have I forgotten anything?
No, we just want to basically agree with everything you said. And I think the main thing to note is the children really love it.
It is just year 6 are frozen, which won't happen at camp, I promise. But it is a brilliant week. And last year, I know it'd been strange with the pandemic and everything, but I genuinely did not want to come back. You know, the week went too quickly. I think lots of us felt like that. The children were just such a joy, and I don't expect this year to be any different. I think we all thought it's the first time we've been away and the week went too fast. And Friday, I said we could have stayed all weekend with them. It really is a lovely week. It's this beautiful setting right next to the Bluebell Railway. The train comes past. The staff are wonderful from here and from Tretco. So we're going to have a really, really great week. So any questions? If you want to just either put your hand up or come off mute and just ask. They're either very shy or they have no questions, which is wonderful. Some of you will have had older siblings go on the trip, I know. Just going to look across, see if anyone's got their hand up. Oh, Lexi wants to know about the shower facilities. There are showers, but we are camping, so they're not overly encouraged like every day, but they certainly can have a shower when they want to reasonably. I think last year was the first time with the first evening they said, oh, can I have a shower? Do you want to wait till tomorrow? But that they are there. They're not plush, but there are showers. The girls have their own, the boys have their own, the staff have their own. And they operate on tokens, so they don't get terribly long. But certainly when they've been canoeing, we throw them all in the shower. But be prepared for them to come back pretty grubby. Any other? No. Good. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming, everybody. I'd say if you've got a question that you'd rather not, are there facilities to dry clothes? There fences, we hang their clothes on to dry. If it's raining though, there are tumble dryers on site, or if they get a wet sleeping bag, that can happen. Or, you know, in really bad weather, I have never forgotten the year 2012 when it just rained. It was like the Somme. So we had sleeping bags constantly in the tumble dryers, drying them off. So yes, there are, in the broadest terms. Okay. As I was saying, if you have any other questions, ones you'd rather direct to us individually, or that you obviously don't want to ask in front of loads of other people, that's absolutely fine. Drop me a 6 an email, drop me an email, particularly if you want to talk to me about funding and affordability, or getting equipment. So thank you ever so much for coming. I think then we're going to end the meeting and say we're looking forward to it very much, and happy Easter, everybody, if I don't see you before then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.